Well, if you're going to lose 11-2, you could do it in 2.5 hours. So score one for the pitch clock. This is Locked On Guardians.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Locked On Guardians. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Don't miss the chance to get your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com. I also want to take a moment and say thank you for making Locked On Guardians your first listen to every day, wherever it is you get podcasts, and to say we have your team covered every single day. That would be the Guardians. Come rain or shine, come
blowout,
pitching woes, and we've got things to talk about, but I do want to say there is a lot of injuries right now in baseball. For as much as people tend to freak out about the Guardians, find me a team right now that's healthy. That doesn't have at least like 2 to 3 contributors beat up, and outside of the Rays,
they've won.
And even then, they don't have Glasnow right now, right? They're still without him. It's not like it's perfect for them. So yeah, I don't know. Guys get bigger and stronger, and they're trying to do things that maybe human bodies just weren't meant to do, and we'll see how it goes.
Could be. Well, everybody got excited for a couple of hours. When the lineup came out, everyone was like, oh, look at that. There's a new lineup. Andres Gimenez is hitting second. Our cries have been heard. We have been appeased. We are soothed. We are healed.
It didn't last long.
I don't want to dunk anybody in cold water here, but the lineup's going back to what it was tomorrow. Let's be honest. We know this. The reason Andres Gimenez was hitting second was because Ahmed Rosario was out. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe in the past, Terry Francona has tried to keep some continuity. Like in the past, we've seen guys like Mike Freeman play second base and hit whoever was in the second base slot or other weird stuff, right? We've seen him stick with continuity before. Gabriel Arias, he could have easily hit Gabriel Arias second and just said, we're just trying to stick with continuity. But he moved Gimenez up, and it looked good in the first inning, right? Stephen Kwan worked a walk. Or no, he had a base hit. Andres Gimenez had a hit. Jose Ramirez had a hit, won me some money. We'll talk about that later. And everything looked good. You were hitting Gerrit Cole. This new look lineup. You're like, wow, this is great. Andres Gimenez in the 2-hole. We've got 3 hits to start a game. We're facing the Yankees ace. We don't ever do this. And then it all fell apart. So we got to be happy today for, I don't know, what time the lineup come out? 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. So from like 2 o'clock to like 7 o'clock, we got to be pretty happy. And then about 7:30, it was just all rain and gray skies. And hopefully, maybe Terry Francona will remember how good the first inning was on Tuesday night, and he will stick with the same lineup. I don't know. My first inclination is that the lineup will go back to what it was. The Med will come in on Wednesday, and he will hit second, and this will all be just a fever dream. And if you stop thinking about it after the second inning, it was a good fever dream. But it was nice for a couple hours,
It was. Listen, I love the change at the top. It's not going to stay. I think if one could make a case for maybe the most annoying factor in the early going is how low Andres is hitting, because he's actually continuing to do what he did last year. It's not been the regression that I think some people thought.
Regression.
But eventually it'll come. Don't get me wrong. But like to have him hitting 7th on some nights to me is unconscious. I can't say the word. Unconscionable. No. Conscionable, thank you. It's just, it's ridiculous. And the other thing I'll say is this, to some level, when I saw like, oh, we're putting Gabby and Oscar in there against Gerrit Cole, are they just kind of saying, hey, well, we'll see you tomorrow? This is, I know things, they don't really punt a game to mix my sports metaphors, but I can't be the only one who like looked at things and go, oh, it kind of feels like this is a bit of a punt, right?
I don't know if it was a punt. I mean, Ahmed Rosario hasn't had a day off yet.
No. And he's not been good. He's a slow start.
just a quick break for him.
But Oscar Gonzalez against Gerrit Cole, I mean, it was.
Yeah, I had some doubts
outcome
about that one. His at-bats were not. He did work a walk. I don't think the walk was off of Gerrit Cole, but he worked a walk, so that's like, your baby steps. I don't know. Will Brennan did not strike out against Gerrit Cole. I'll take that as a win. Gerrit Cole did own him. We talked about that. He did own him last postseason. Will Brennan had a double late in the game. I think that was off of Abreu, but at least his at bats are better. Hey, in the first inning, even think about this. Like before the wheels fell off for Hunter Gaddis, Aaron Judge got to. It was a disastrous start, honestly. Like the first inning couldn't have gone worse, right? It was a walk to DJ LeMahieu. Aaron Judge got on because of a rare error by Jose Ramirez, and then Anthony Rizzo lines out, and Aaron Judge. I don't know what Aaron Judge was doing out there, but he decided to pick off for second base. Will Brennan had a great relay throw into Andres Gimenez, who was heads up. He throws out Aaron Judge at first base, who apparently was napping, or he thought the Guardians would throw to third base. Doesn't realize that this is a fundamentally strong team. They do not make stupid mistakes. They just don't hit and have bumpy pitching right now. And then he struck out Gleyber Torres, and we're like, oh, man, that was a great first inning. Like, he got through a disaster. The Guardians come out swinging the bats, looking great in the first inning. And then by the third inning, things just were very hairy. And I thought Hunter Gaddis was a pitch away in the third inning from getting out. Like, Willie Calhoun has that foul ball off of his thigh or whatever it was. And he ends up getting a hit in the center field. And then Franchi Cordero, of all people. That's the frustrating thing, isn't it? Let's leave Hunter Gaddis aside. Who in the Yankees lineup beat the Guardians last season? Remember? It was, I know Giancarlo Stanton had the home run off of Aaron Civale in the
Harrison Bader in the postseason.
Right. It's Harrison Bader. They had a great plan for Aaron Judge. Here, it's the guys at the bottom of the Yankee order. It's Didi Gregorius. It's Harrison Bader. It's Aaron Hicks. It's
Calhoun. It's just like that guy is such a free swinger. They kept. I don't know. I almost kind of wanted them to be a little more out of the zone. Like there's a reason why these guys bounce through 4 organizations. It's they had him 0-2, and then I question kind of the sequencing on that one.
Yeah, like, and then Franchi Cordero. Like, come on, Franchi Cordero beats you. Yeah. I can live with it if you let. And this is just one game.
And that was like a change up high in the zone. It's like, why is with Franchi Cordero? I mean, to one degree, it's Willie Calhoun. But with Cordero, it's like nothing should be in the zone. That dude, takes a swing at everything.
Yeah, it's just frustrating. They had a good.
But, I mean, Gaddis wasn't good either. You know, he had his moments, but like, let's just call a spade a spade. We've been some of his biggest defenders, but we are seeing nearly going why. You know, he's probably like a 6th, 7th inning relief guy. Like he's a good guy, potentially a long guy for that role. But it's a little bit of overexposure. You know, the chances of him being another starter, it's like that changeup is a plus pitch. The fastball as average. You know, he's just kind of it's 3 average and a plus, right? You know.
Yeah, it's the two pitch issue, and you like to think the changeup is the separating factor, but you have to get in the changeup counts. And hey, the changeup did good. He had a good plan for Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge had 2 singles today, I think. Yeah. And
but that changeup moved so much against Franchi. It just didn't move. It was a hanging change, and
that's what I'm saying. Like you're letting those guys beat you. You're letting Willie Calhoun and Harrison Bader and Franchi Cordero beat you. Like I'm fine if it's Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton and Gleyber Torres. Like those guys beat you. It is what it is, right? But
I mean,
the bottom of the order guys beating, that's hard to do, and that's why it's hard to count on guys like Hunter Gaddis. I mean, it wasn't just Gaddis. Like Civale and Quantrill struggled against those guys in the postseason last year. So it is what it is. Guardians, though, 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position again today. It's been a problem. They didn't do good on Monday night with runners in scoring position against the Yankees, but they did enough to win because they had good pitching. But they had opportunities tonight, but of course, I think a lot of times on base too. I wish they would have gotten that extra run in. They had a 1 out and a runner on third in the first inning against Cole. Would have been nice to get that run in. Did it matter in the long term? Probably not. But you just want to see them cash in on more opportunities, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, Naylor and Bell are kind of a killer right now between the two of them. It's kind of been rough for them both.
We'll talk about more power issues and how long this is going to go with Gaddis in just a second.
But first, let's talk about one of the fantastic sponsors that helps keep this show going. And today, that first sponsor are the title sponsor as well, our good friends over at FanDuel. Oh, you pulled it up. I don't have to. Grand slams, no hitters, and double plays are back. We also had the Marlins first cycle today. And there's no better place to get in on the MLB action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. That's because new customers step up to the plate with the no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. Just go to FanDuel.com/locked-on. Sign up, place your first bet, and get up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if you don't win. You've been, I'll let you talk about what you've been doing in a second, but don't miss your chance to get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 when you join FanDuel today. Just go to FanDuel.com/locked-on to sign up. FanDuel, official partner of Major League Baseball.
I did finally cash in on a micro bet tonight. I got Jose Ramirez in for an extra base hit in the first inning just in time. $5 down. Took home $45 for that. So thanks, Jose. I got a little greedy, and I did it with Josh Bell the next at bat, thinking he would also get a double or an extra base hit because Josh Bell likes to rock the baby against Gerrit Cole. He is
Josh Naylor.
Oh, Josh Naylor. I wish Josh Bell was somebody's daddy. He's someone's daddy. He's just not Gerrit Cole's daddy. Josh Naylor, though, is Gerrit Cole's daddy. But guess what? That didn't happen this time. So I got a little greedy, and I won the money with Jose Ramirez, and I didn't get with Josh Naylor. But the extra base hit from Jose was nice for a minute. Like I said, this whole game, it was good in the beginning, and then it got progressively worse.
Yes.
Sorry. You want to talk about the power issues, or do you want to talk about how long this is going to go with Hunter Gaddis? We don't have to go too long on this, but I don't want to overreact to one start because you and I both, like you said before, we think Gaddis is a bullpen guy long term. He's one of the first guys out of your pen when you're trailing to keep things close. He can give you an inning or two. Tristan McKenzie's not coming back until May 29th at best. Like, we don't even, not even a guarantee he's going to be back then, but we think he's going to be back around that time frame. Things sound good right now. So let's just say, Tristan McKenzie is back for the weekend series at Minnesota June 1st. That's still, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks away. Like, we're still talking 7 or 8 weeks here. What, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? That's still 7 weeks away.
And then he's going to, yes, he'll have the minor league outings, but nothing's like the majors. Like, he's not going to come
right, but he's still, well, I think he'll be able to ramp up, and I think
but it's still like
he'll be off the IL around his
but it's always a different beast when you get up,
yeah, who knows? I mean, I'm not talking about what he's going to do in the majors. I'm just saying getting him back and not having to start Hunter Gaddis. But here's the thing: you're waiting another 6 or 7 weeks on Tristan McKenzie. And we don't even know how long you have to wait on Aaron Civale. Like, there's no, hey, we think that, this oblique injury is going to last this long. We don't really know right now. Like, there's no reason to touch on it because they don't probably have a great idea of how long this is going to last. And obliques are tricky. So the question becomes, like, I guess we'll see how Battenfield does, today on Wednesday. But how long can you stick with this? You know what I mean? Like, how long can you really roll with Bieber, Plesac, Quantrill, and then hoping that you're Gaddis and the problem is right now, I guess they can use an off day to reset it if they want to, but right now you have Gaddis and Battenfield going back to back. I don't know how long can you survive with this. Like, we're talking for the last week of May for McKenzie at best. We don't know when Civale's coming back. Like, how long can you realistically stick with this?
That essentially comes down to it. It McKenzie, you're looking, as you said, end of May, and then how sharp. Again, then you're kind of expecting like it'll be a few starts before he's like 100% Tristan McKenzie. At least that's kind of how I view it. I assume they're going to give Battenfield a few starts here or there. We have Gaddis. How many starts did McCarthy/Tully have this time a year ago? I don't think they're going to rush anything. Like, I don't think. I saw the Jason Lloyd piece. Tanner Bivey's had 1 start in AAA. Even when Jason Lloyd was pulling up his stats to justify things, it's like I think outside of Henches and JC Mejia, who didn't have a season thanks to COVID, like everyone else has had, I think, a minimum of 6 starts in AAA before they're called up. it is what it is. I mean, I think this is what it's gonna be for the next bit. Outside of, again, there's one off day a week, so maybe that allows them to occasionally skip one of these guys. But I think how long they're gonna stick with this is until guys are healthy, or until it gets to June. This is the plan for April and May.
Well, it sounds like we're getting a move anyway. This hasn't been confirmed yet, but it sounds like we might get Pilkington on Wednesday, and Gaddis might go down. So
Makes
I don't know
sense.
I don't know if that's a permanent switch or just because they want to make sure they have length to cover them tomorrow. I don't know, because they're off Thursday. So the bullpen didn't really get taxed. I mean, Herron went for an inning and 2/3, and Curry did a good job out of the bullpen going 4 innings. I know he gave 3 runs, but at least he went 4 innings, 67 pitches. That's at least efficient. I'm sure the Yankees were kind of swinging to the scoreboard, but to get out of there. But he saved the bullpen a little bit. So even with Pilkington coming up, like, that's still, there's an off day tomorrow. The bullpen's still pretty rested. So we'll see if this actually happens and if this is a permanent move. I don't know if I feel any better about. I guess Pilkington gave you some solid outings last year, but I'm not saying they need to make any sudden moves tomorrow. Like I said before with Allen, especially with Allen last year, struggling in AAA, and he pitched well Tuesday night, walked 3 in 5 innings, but he did strike out 6 and only gave the run to a half good Worcester Sox team. But I'm not saying you got to make the move next week, but like, if this pattern continues into, like, I don't know, mid-May, and you're facing the White Sox, the Mets, back-to-back series, and the Cardinals, I don't know, man. And I think, to me, Bybee and Allen, those guys are going to be as ready as they're going to be in terms of stuff and what they can do against big league hitters. I think the important thing for those guys is just for them to get mentally set in AAA, get their feet wet, get their season, get their legs under them for the season, establish their routines, get on their routines, and feel good about themselves this year, where things are going, and bring them up then. Like, I don't know. I said no sooner than June, but I guess we'll see how the pattern goes from here. But it's really hard to think that, I guess, Gaddis might go down, but it's just hard to think that you can keep this going the way it's going into May, and not to make a move, especially if Bybee and Allen pitch as well as they did. I know it's hard to make that move early. All right,
they
Jeff,
just never do. I guess that's the thing.
Yeah.
They just never do. So I'm kind of curious to pull up last year's stats and just see how many starts the also rans got, and I think that's one of those things when you look at that data. I mean, you got 11. But you got 11 from Connor Pilkington a year ago, and and
they were solid-ish. I mean,
5 from Cody Mortis.
Yeah, Pilkington was also up on the roster to start the year because of the 28-man roster.
And I wouldn't be shocked if what this turns into is Pilkington takes this Gaddis spot, and Gaddis goes back to that relief role that they kind of wanted him to begin with, and he was forced into due to the injury. I wouldn't be surprised if this is kind of a reset for Gaddis.
Well, he might need, if he goes to AAA, he might need to start because Pilkington was in the rotation down there. So if he goes to AAA.
Yeah, he might start as a starter, but there's nothing that says Gavin Williams or someone else can't get pushed up. They have so much pitching. It's not like it's going to be hard to quickly readjust and get him into that role.
Do you have 3 stars tonight? I mean, Andres Gimenez 2 for 4. He had 3 balls, hard hit balls tonight. So all 3 balls he put in play were.
Yeah, I mean, you got 2 guys with multi-hit games with Andres and Jose. In this one, I think those stand out, and especially because Jose did, as you said, had the double. Part of me almost kind of likes Tim Herron. I know he did give up a hit, but he entered in an untenable situation and performed well again. And the other interesting thing in all of this is, like, I looked at some of our comments from yesterday, and the people who weren't mad at me for saying that Stephen Kwan is playing well but not super well. A lot of other people. The comment is then about Curry, and it's like, well, Curry really hasn't been that great either. So it's, I think if you're gonna do 3 stars, it's probably Herron, Ramirez, and Gimenez. Comment below if you disagree with those 3.
Hard to disagree, but it's I'll give a shot to Will Brennan. He had another double tonight and had some good at bats, so I'll give a shot to my guy Willie Baseball. Jeff, I've got a concerning stat for you after you talk about your favorite game.
I'm going to talk about Marvel's Midnight Suns. Oh no, I'm sorry. That's
your other favorite game.
My favorite game of late. Though I actually spent a good hour today playing my other favorite game, because what's nice about Ultimate Pro Baseball GM is I can sit there and play it on my phone. We are doing state testing, and I have like 8 periods of state testing in a row, and then I get to have lunch and my break. And by that time, I am pretty toast. State testing necessarily may not be the hardest thing for a teacher to do, but you just have to be kind of on your game, and you can't do anything. And there's ups and downs to it. And I just won another World Series in my third run through with Ultimate Pro Baseball GM. And we've made 3 straight ALCSs during that time. So it's 3 years in a row. It feels like an alternate universe where I'm facing the Orioles or the Angels every year in the ALCS. But another World Series, a team again on the rise. I'm going to win this competition, going away for first place. I got to steal like Justin's phone so I can get him $250 for second place is $250. So you might as well get that money. But right now, Locked On Guardians listeners get 100% free boost to their franchise and using the promo code Locked On in the game store. So make sure you check it out. To download the game, visit probaseballgm.com, scan the code, or look it up in app stores. That's probaseballgm.com. Ultimate Baseball GM. Start your dynasty today.
Okay, Jeff. When did the Guardians last hit a home run? Can you guess off the top of your head?
Have they hit any since they faced Seattle?
They have hit one since Seattle. Yes, they've hit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there was one in the Oakland series. So I don't think they hit any over the weekend, right?
They have not hit a home run on this homestand, no.
Yeah. So it's that Oakland series. I'm trying to think who it was or where it was. Like in my mind, I was like, was it, Zanino's last time he went deep? But yeah, they're not hitting anything hard.
Their last home run, by my calculations, was Gabriel Arias in the 4th inning off JP Sears of the Oakland game. We were sitting here doing our podcast as that happened. We were both, good for Gabriel Arias. It was a shot to center field. That was 63 innings ago for the Guardians was that last home run. So they have not hit a home run since their is that their 4-3 loss. They lost that night 4-3 because that was the game. Karen Check gave up in the 9th. It didn't go to extra innings, thankfully. So Tuesday, April 4th was their last home run. And I don't want everyone to think I'm sitting here saying, oh gosh, the Guardians got to be a power hitting team now. And if they don't hit home runs, they're not going to win. And that's all everybody wants to do is hit home runs. Not saying the Guardians need to be near the top of the leaderboards with home runs, but today was a warmer day. I know they were facing Gerrit Cole, who's tough, but they also put a lot of balls in play against Gerrit Cole. They didn't strike out a lot, but not really the point. I'm not saying you've got to be top 10 in home runs, okay? I'm saying you've got to be able to hit the big ones. You've got to be able to hit the timely ones. They could have used a home run in that 1st inning. I know they scored 2, but I don't think you can go 63 innings without hitting a home run and suggest that your offense is okay. Like, yes, they're 7-4 or 7-5 right now. Things are early, but man, just like to be not down with Detroit and Washington in terms of home runs is all I'm saying.
But I mean, that's what they were a year ago. So at the same time, like, I don't know how much of a change. Zunino and Bell were, you're hoping to move you up, but I mean, they were second worst to Detroit, and Detroit essentially probably wouldn't have struggled against AAA teams. Like Detroit's offense was putrid a year ago. It was historically bad. So I'm not surprised that it's that low, especially in the early goings when it's cold. It's a little bit harder to knock things out. It is. I mean, but who's going to hit? I mean, like I said, Quan, he gets on base. He's not a launch angle guy. Ahmed will run into a few. We'll see Jose power.
And Bell don't have one yet. Neither of them.
I know, but Jose,
you need home runs from.
Jose's thumb could still be affecting that. Like, even though he's 100% recovered, that sometimes a hand injury affects power for well after a surgery, that, it can affect and change things. So, I mean, you're hoping for Bell, but Bell's got to make contact first, and it's got to be contact that isn't like the weakest possible. He's right now pressing it in his head. Oscar Gonzalez is a bit of a train wreck in the early going. Again, it's early. It's like these are the guys you're expecting power from. And those guys aren't performing. So, like I said, even Naylor, who, if you go back and you listen to that Seattle series, he played well in that series. Since then, he has played pretty terribly. He was, the high man in runs created plus after that series. Up there was Zanino, one of like three guys, him and Gimenez. Now he's struggling to hit his weight, which again, to me, looks like it's up. Just leave that out there.
Yeah.
Get myself in trouble.
All right.
Can I also throw out one other thing before we move on? Can I also talk about how just in general, it's so annoying that The Athletic did an article about the Rocket Yankees and the changes to stolen bases when the Yankees are facing Cleveland, the team leading the league in stolen bases. They did a whole profile. I don't know if you saw that. Ken Rosenthal did a whole profile on the New York Yankees and the base stealing prowess of the New York Yankees team.
And the Guardians have 19? They're first in steals in the league.
Yes,
is that right?
Yes, he had a
tonight.
No stolen bases tonight. They there was another article that was about they mentioned Miles Straw and him being on pace for 80. No, that might have been Zach Meisel. That might have even been Rosenthal. But yeah, gotta love baseball. I think Anthony Volpe has already won the Rookie of the Year in spite of being the only Yankee who hasn't hit. There's still a big market bias in this sport to the nth degree, and that just annoyed me a bit. So I wanted to vent on it. One thing we didn't talk about before the show that we should definitely talk about today or tomorrow is the Saros tweet if we have time.
Yeah, we can get into that on Wednesday through Thursday, given that it's a day game. So Peyton Badfield's going to make his debut today, Wednesday. Finally, good for Peyton. He's
came close a year ago.
Yeah, he came close a year ago. He got to Toronto, but didn't get in the game due to a COVID replacement. It's a north-south profile, really, for Peyton. It's a fastball, good ride, good life up in the zone, 90, 93. He'll probably hit 94. Maybe he'll hit 95. It's going to be warm on Wednesday, so we'll see. He's got a cutter. He's got a slider. I think he had a hard time when he came to Cleveland deciding which of those was his best pitch. He leaned on the cutter a little bit more, and then he went to the slider a little more. I like his curveball a little bit. I think his best secondary is also his changeup. I don't know if any of his secondaries really grade out as anything above average. We're talking in the 20-80 scouting scale here, so 50 is average. I really have a couple of 50s on his fastball and his changeup. The cutter, I think, is an above average pitch for him. I think he has a chance to use that a lot. Shea Bieber used the cutter a lot on Monday against the Yankees. It did good. It's really, though, like a full...
You're going to get us in trouble. I don't know if you saw that comment.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
it's a full... I don't know. It's kind of the kitchen sink approach for Peyton Battenfield. Like, he throws everything. The cutter's good. The fastball's kind of fringy, but it plays. He's got a decent curveball. The slider's been okay in the past. I don't think he'll miss many bats. He's always had fringe average command, so like above average control. I think you're looking for 4 innings for him. I mean, you want to make. I hope he gets through. I think he has better command than Hunter Gaddis, especially of his fastball. And I think there's better pitch metrics on his fastball than Gaddis. So I think you're hoping he gets through 4 innings and the wheels don't fall off the second time through the order like they did with Gaddis. Morgan's rested. Everybody is available, I would say, tomorrow on Wednesday, except for Heron and Curry. Curry's unavailable.
Yeah.
But, everybody else, 4 from Battenfield, maybe 1 or 2 from Morgan, and then you go from there with De Los Santos and Clase, Karinchak, and Sandlin, hopefully. Clark Schmidt, though, hasn't been fantastic. He has allowed 7 runs in 2 outings. He is... he has the sweeper, like all the Yankees pitchers have that sweeper. They teach him cutter, sinker, curveball, not really a changeup guy. He'd probably throw it to lefties. That's about it. And a lot of sliders, and they're pretty good. But if you can lay off the sweeper and hit anything else, that would be good. I don't know. He hasn't been great. So this is, I don't know. I hate to say on one game makes a big deal, but, it's a game where the Cleveland should hit again. They haven't hit all this series. They've got 5 runs, but they have 1 win. But
it'd be nice to take the series from the Yankees.
Yeah, I would. You play them again in the beginning of May, and that's it, I think. So, Yeah, it's not a great pitching matchup tomorrow. I don't want to say it's going to be a bullpen game because chances are it'll be a 1-0 game the way we talk about it because it's baseball. You never know. But so you're not facing Gerrit Cole again. That's for darn sure. So
yeah,
it's going to be interesting. I'm hoping for good things for Peyton Banfield. He seems like a good kid.
Yeah, when that deal happened, it looked like such a win because he was so great out of the gate. And then, it was a rough year for him last year, but it's nice to see anyone get their shot. And I'm hoping that, of course, I'm hoping he'll play well. But it's just great to see him go out and get that opportunity in the big leagues. And, it does feel like everyone's holding court until. See, Logan Allen is at how many AAA starts now? We should be having a count of this.
Like 11. I think he had like 9. Now he has 2. So
no, he had 14 last year and 2 this year. So he's at 16.
16.
So Logan, to go back to my original point, Logan Allen is probably the guy to watch. We'll just leave it at that. Go ahead.
Bieber and Plesac. Now Plesac was forced in a little bit more, but Bieber and Plesac didn't have a lot of AAA starts either. That was more forced in, but I don't know. We're quickly approaching the forced in situation right now, as it were. But I don't know. I hate to keep going back to this, but for saying these guys got to be ready. Whatever they're at, Allen and Bybee, whatever ready they're at, whatever level they're at, I can't think it's any better than the most ready Gaddis and Curry or Pilkington are going to be.
No, and Bieber, for the record, 8 starts and then came up in June. So you're kind of looking at something like that. Like I said, I think Logan Allen is the guy to watch. I'll just say that, with him having to be added, with him having last year.
Yeah.
And we have a fun stat for tomorrow. I'm going to tease that was what I talked about earlier on the show. So kind of pointing to maybe him being more ready than Tanner Bybee potentially. If you're like, what? How can that be? You guys are the leader of that bandwagon. Well, make sure you tune in tomorrow to find out. Again, I want to thank everyone for rating and reviewing, downloading. It helps for commenting, even when the comments are quickly turning super negative. So thank you to those who aren't insulting us in the comments. Thank you to those who are commenting, even when you are insulting us. But we appreciate all everyone does being part of the Locked On Guardians team. Remember to do all your downloading, your liking, your subscribing. And again, tune in tomorrow to find out more about Logan Allen, as well as we'll have some comments and thoughts on the game. Hopefully Peyton Banfield blows us all away and blows the Yankees away. And again, thank you, and go Guardians, go.